for the hour, and our tech host for the hour today is Tom Daly.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you, Tom. And our organizers for this year's Boston Poetry Marathon Online for 2020 are Christina Liu, Xtina Strong, Suzanne Mercury, and me, Bridget Eileen. Thank you to my fellow organizers, and thank you also to our volunteers for the weekend, Tom Daly, who is tech hosting right now, Tim Gager, Gilmore Tamney, Joe Elliott, Doug Rothschild, and especially to Chad Parento, who helped as a special assistant to Carol Weston last night and was a tech host in the last hour. We are streaming live to our Facebook page at Boston Poetry Marathon, our Twitter at Boss Poetry Mara, and our YouTube channel. For links to these broadcasts, go to bostonpoetrymarathon.wordpress.com/watch. These recordings will also be on the page. This year's Boston Poetry Marathon is a fundraiser for local organizations that work for racial justice in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Donations will go to Sister Fire Rhode Island and the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts. Admission to the Boston Poetry Marathon is free, but a $10 or more donation to our fundraiser is recommended and appreciated. Go to bostonpoetrymarathon.wordpress.com/donate for more information. Go to the pinned post or the bios on our social media for all these links as well. Though we can't be together in person for these readings and the breaks in between, we encourage all our participants and viewers to share selfies, screenshots, old photos, memories, and comments on our social media. Please use Boston Poetry Marathon, hashtag Boston Poetry Marathon, and tag us at Boston Poetry Marathon on Instagram and Facebook, or at Boss Poetry Mara on Twitter. A reminder to our readers that you only have 5 minutes each, and the 5 minutes starts as soon as you begin speaking. So any intros to poems or anything like that is part of the 5-minute reading. I will be timing the readings. I'm very bad at it because I don't have a good enough attention span. So let me make sure I pull that up now. Okay, I'll be timing the readings. Readers, please make sure your chat window is open right now. Readers, when you have 1 minute left, I'll write 1 minute in the chat. When you have 30 seconds left, I'll write 30 seconds. At 5 minutes, I'll have to interrupt you and introduce the next reader. If you finish before the 5 minutes, I will thank you and introduce the next reader. Readers, if your connection is bad during your reading, I will interrupt you to let you know. Please follow the steps in the email that you were sent for fixing a bad connection. We will move on to the next reader if we have a connection problem with the current reader. Please make sure your camera is directed at your entire face, especially your mouth. And please also make sure that you are well lit. And I giggle every time I say that because it's entendre. Okay, anyway, I'm going to introduce the readers. I'm going to introduce the readers of the hour right now. Reader, when I say your name, please give a short greeting so we can have a sound check. Erica Kaufman.
Post Classic.
David Miller.
I'm here.
Jessica Bozek.
Right here.
Pam Matz.
Here.
Jessica Konick.
Good afternoon.
Cheryl Boyce Taylor.
Hello.
Vanesa Pacheco.
Hello.
Corey Howard.
Hi, guys.
And Ariella Ruth.
Here. It's Ariella, too.
Oh, sorry,
That's
Ariella.
okay. No
Ariella Ruth. Okay, we are about to officially start the reading. So if we could have all but our first readers now mute yourselves. And the first reader of the hour is going to be Erica Kaufman. We're switching up the schedule a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to go in and mute you as well. So, okay. And tech host, please switch to speaker view and let us know when that's all set. Got it, Tom?
Yes, all set.
Okay, great. Okay, so our first reader of the hour is Erica Kaufman. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you so much. Post Classic. And this is a poem for my friend Anselm Berrigan. This is a man-made pond populated by tadpole imports to support a need to be visibly expensive, overlook who's frog-like expansive. We grow up to be we who cling to threadbare steel lattice. I rely here on memory instead of imagination because no one believes in desire, in sudden necessity. of waiting on a walk across tick-laden fields. Step gently in inevitable mud. It isn't insects who betray me, who sing of infancy in statue form. This one example of many landmarks marked precisely for data, a physical birdcage, marmot governing cropsy. Even the Wayback Machine deems scarlet the robin who approach. I don't stand outside anymore, can't stand all flowers and frequent. Even the Wayback Machine deems scarlet the robin who approach. I don't stand outside anymore, can't stand all flowers and frequent display trope of visible breathing, memeable, yet again the question of money, of exertion, of stripling storied historical cell, ordinary habit model of, it isn't landmark to call millipedes fancy. Post-classic. Sing to me of parachutes, imposed luxury measures, active farming, ceasefire mural sourced from quicksand and argument morale. Sing to me so I know what's admissible, a foundation of wonder instead of inflammatory markets, where you are your body of water, polluting, and I am lost again, born throughout Year of the Dragon. Sing to me of accuracy and empathy, of health first attitudinal shifts, of systemic intolerance, of exertion, of using the entire body to be discouraged. Sing to me of immune systems unplugged, redact moan evidence of post-endeavor malaise, brain fog, ongoing disaster. Sing to me of orthostasis, of no shame in redefining distance, code shift across consensus, to the sirens who sing only of history, and I can't tell them to listen to disease, categorize imaginary harm as ongoing matter, tickets bought, ambivalent sleep. Sing to me gadfly bias, definitively I depend. Paraclassic. The past begins in song and open arms, gesture of self. Sing to me, someone, call out to another someone, an effort to effect accountable talk. Pony up ambition tests, drift sounds. Instead, I reach out past commodifications of balcony scenes, acknowledge that, in fact, trees are not the lesson, not a behavioral empire of focus groups. And so the sparrow misbehaves in succession, gets messy. So I ask, how do you respond in the moment of buffering, of static, of silent icon, deep fake leaves, common as if an invitation? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica. Our next reader is David Miller.
Hi, everyone, and thank you. Thanks to the organizers and thanks to everyone who's here. I have two poems. The first is a little on the long side, but the second is very brief. The first is in 3 parts. So this is the 4th of July, 2012. Remnant early rain pools the motel patio table. Solar rays pound the window. Vapor wraiths cast shadows across my table here inside, sun against my back. Continental breakfast anchors this Econo Lodge lobby, my ad hoc writer's cafe. I'm propped by Levertov and Daybook, free refills. Back muscles need the heat, though mind frets against the burn already squatted outdoors. This is the 4th of July. Everyone else is on their way out. Luggage cart passes a brass pavilion on wheels, on duty to refill retiree's trunk. Children's breakfast coloring books carried off. I twist to look again at the puddled table outside the glass. Nothing to see rises from that surface blazed by sunlight, but steam waves lace my tabletop under room light. Evaporation, ghosts of action raised by heat. 2020. This is the 4th of July. I want the Statue of Liberty to open her copper lips. I want her voice to boil the brain matter of all of us who gussy her up as Independence Day's glamour girl, all a perk, flaunting USA, USA pom-poms, instead of grasping a torch angled just shy of a bottle bomb. Night fireworks grip USA, USA for weeks, long before Juneteenth, that more relevant Independence Day. I sometimes sleep badly in my quiet bed. Explosions pockmark the air, answer 9-minute strangulations, 8 bullets through bedclothes, slain cigarette sales, lethal lane changes. 3, 2012. So this is the 4th of July. My grandfather orated to the squirrels from his back porch, role-playing the small town stump speech. He freed his patriotism from gods and superheroes, as Charles Ives did when his haywire musical rocket burned the orchestral town hall down to the ground. 3 hours till I combine with my father, brother, and nephew. 4 males whose women are elsewhere from complications of divorce or death. Clouds begin to crowd. We hope lightning and rain don't repudiate the fireworks. Housekeepers confer in the lobby as a woman behind the desk quotes the rate for trundle beds. Down the very hall behind her, an accessible room was saved for my mother on my parents' final visit here. I could find that room now if the staff would let me. Lodged at this Econo-Lodge table, there's nowhere else to go. Another coffee with styro cup. I mutter my grandfather's refrain. And the other poem, Foolish Skin. I now require myself to imagine this. New cleansed laundry, each naive sock and t-shirt may be freshly corrupted as my hands empty the machine. My hands have touched ambushing things. So many objects whisper, "Give me skin." My hands wave in naked ether, innocent in one room, pestilential in the next. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Appreciate you coming and reading. And our next reader is Jessica Bozek.
Hi, this is the easiest reading I've ever done, so thanks to everyone for making it possible. I'm going to begin with a few poems from a longer project called Grief Machine. Some of them were published last year in a Dancing Girl chapbook called How to See the Wind. So this is from a dream sequence called No Map Gets Me to Her. In my dreams, the map is handmade. It can be folded, glued into a notebook, tucked into my back pocket. I recognize locations, landmarks from books. I walk streets that smell of fresh-baked croissants without another person in sight. Time has stopped, but the plant life hasn't wilted. Always there is an impediment, a trek, inclement weather. The land is parched, Escher-like in its perspectival shifts, or the rain beats down. I follow the map's slow rivers, then its highways where the number of lanes and cars keeps increasing. I find her in a small red car, broken down in the center of all those lanes. She opens a window, calls out to the people in other cars. They look from her mouth to the screens of their phones, which don't light up. She has left the hospital. She has left her phone at the hospital. I turn my manuscript into an alphabet soup and serve it to neighbors who drop by one winter afternoon. The tomato broth contrasts the leaden sky. The neighbors eat peppers, carrots, kidney beans, these words. This is how I publish my work. My ghost arrives. She spreads a picnic blanket across my eyes. Its wool pulse knots her along a new vein. And this is a poem from the last section of the same project. She touches things, brings them to her mouth. This is how 21st century children in daycares with play-based curricula are taught to apprehend the world. It is theirs for the taking and the tasting. She ambles along the sidewalk, confidently taking up space. She does not yet question that she belongs in this world, that she is safe, that community helpers, as she's been taught to call them, will help her. One day she reaches toward a police officer's holster. He quickly moves a hand to cover the gun and smiles understandingly. She is a bright white girl living in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And I'm gonna close with something newer. For context, I have an 8-year-old, which means I was playing teacher during the spring. And we often started and ended our mornings with Linda Berry prompts, the 4-minute daily diary, where you list the things that you did, saw, and overheard in the past 24 hours. Then you can pick one thing that you saw to sketch. And then also some 3-minute self-portraits. We drew ourselves turning into a vegetable, dancing with a potato, as a pirate, climbing a rope. Those prompts started to feel to me like metaphors for this time that we're living through. And then the other thing that I've been consistently doing is running, which gives me a lot of time to think and to not think. So this piece might become part of a larger exploration of what it means to run. So run, intransitive verb, to unravel along a line. She does handstands in every room. Her feet smash hard into the sloped ceiling. Now she controls the world's turning upside down. She tests the ends of thorns, paper clips, fingernails against her summer skin. She wants to feel something more than safer at home, more than parents policing her behavior all day. Stop, you can't, don't. These words she notes having heard in the past 24 hours. Are these negative formulations really so different from the signs we see on walks, the admonitions that pretend to be positive? Be a superhero, mask up. I'm happy to see you from over here. She waits for the mail, for news that the world still exists. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. And up next, we have Pam Matz.
Thank you to everyone who made this happen. And thank you to readers for these good poems. We need them. I'm going to read 4, and they're all from this spring. To the person who threw pizza and an open bottle of soda into the recycling bin. Maybe you learned the bad news was true, so you dumped all you held and ran. Maybe you thought anything that once was alive, coffee grounds, eggshells, rotten tilapia, fertilizes where it lands, and you didn't know that stuff gums up the works of industrial recycling sorters. Or maybe you did know. Maybe you saw the recycling bin, compost bucket, yard waste bag, and trash barrel lined up curbside self-righteously, and you were infuriated anyone might think sorting refuse would help this on the brink world. Or maybe a guilt that gnaws like a beaver lives in your belly, and maybe you thought this feeling is grief, and grief, unlike guilt, can lessen. Giddy, you unburdened yourself. Everything now means the same thing. Robin perched on the porch railing, staring back with a do something look. Loud noises in the night, trees watching. Remembering policeman 1970 crowded street yelling cocksuckers, revving his motorcycle. The way the light seems to pulse. The dream about the cat eating or leaving paw marks on all the food. The shifting of who we are. how necessary it is to notice, really. People in face masks on the street, too, something to nod back. The thing we are inside that is on the edge of falling to where there is no limit to the fall. To-do list written in lemon juice folded kite form. Eat canned tomatoes until they run out. Imagine rainforests leaf so broadly, sunlight has to slip between branches, yet there's fruit. Lie still, enter all at once into clear water. Remember how cows bend their forelegs to lie down? A field of cows, like a painting of a field of cows by somebody English, those colors. Find a picture of a throng gathered at a river, maybe in an old photography magazine. And if you were there and fell and could not speak, make falling easier. Lift into wind for scouring. Work wings, embroider in salt. May 2020. In the long moment of waking, before I notice I have my arms around myself, being my own comrade, before my to-do list launches its fleet of paper boats, before the news scares me and I hide my fears from myself and go online to give dribs of money, before I use a mean voice to order myself to get things done, before I lose track of what I'm doing and come to a stop with an inner metal on metal screech, before I panic that I've forgotten what I've forgotten, I will be grateful for whatever ferries me over a river of fish hooks into the kitchen to make coffee, and for the water, the stove, the coffee, the cup. Thank you.
Perfect timing. Thank you so much, Pam. Our next reader for the hour is my good friend, Jessica DeConnick. Oop, hang on, I'll unmute you.
Thank you so much, Bridget. And thank you, Boston Poetry Marathon. I'll be reading 3 not long poems. Good humor. I hear the tune before I see the white truck. Mom, I holler, the ice cream man. And my mother wraps a quarter in a paper napkin, tosses it out the kitchen window of our apartment 3 floors above so I can buy 2 cones, one for me and one for Benji. I still know all the words to that jingle. Now, on good days, when my mother agrees to take off her nightgown, put on some clothes, I take her to lunch at the local diner. Her order the same each time. Soup, a fish sandwich, and a dish of vanilla ice cream. Then she offers to pay, though she stopped carrying a handbag and cannot do arithmetic. How much is it, she asks. $5, I tell her. She says, I'll give it to you when we get home. Don't let me forget. And now I'm going to read 2 poems from my collection, Cutting Room. Salvage. To reverse prolapse, surgeons hold up the bladder with the skin of a cadaver. Science stitches up what gravity pulls down. Cadaver. More genteel to say organ transplant. Better to say donor. Distasteful discussions of corneas, skin, lungs, heart. The cash and carry business that goes on at night might get detected, But with casket closed, what goes unnoticed goes unnoticed. Picked clean as a car abandoned in Camden. Hubcaps, lead headlamps, grill work for sale. The business of leftovers. Like the time we unearthed a steering arm and a hood latch for the Renault at a junkyard outside Worcester. Kept that old hatchback running. So at the funeral home, I never checked. I did not ask to look. With no formaldehyde, wax, or makeup, a night and a day would only make things worse. To the end, your skin remained taut, unblemished, youthful. Cancer and infection rot from inside out. Your organ donor card's a useless stub. I did not want to look at you, contaminated, not even good for parts. And I'll end with something a little more upbeat, comfort food. This noon, I give thanks for fried fish, for macaroni and cheese, for dill rolls, for sweet potato pie, for this carbohydrate festival the hair-knitted ladies cooked to get me through the afternoon and get me home safely. I give thanks for the cafeteria line, for steam rising off my plate, for the dishwasher smell, for the walk from my desk across the parking lot to the commissary and back to my desk. So thanks for carrots and peas, for flaky crust rolled by hand, for small talk, for clean trays, for breaking a 20, for showing up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jessica. Now I'm super hungry, even though I just ate lunch. And our next reader is another good friend, Cheryl Boyce Taylor. I'm gonna unmute you. There you go. You ready to go?
Yes, I am. Hello. I'm going to read 3 poems today, and the first one is from my upcoming book called We Are Not Wearing Helmets. We women stood strong in our madness, in the face of wooden bats, billy clubs, hoses, mad dogs, in the face of a world that was not ours, a world of dirty, twisted money. Let the bodies speak. Let the bodies spark. Late into that summer, we marched for women's rights. We marched long into our aging, our gray hair shining. We marched, our feet covered in blood. Hangers tore us open, still we marched. 1967, questions of the body. We lit our world on fire. We lit our world on fire. Our bodies steamed earth. Rage became our first self. We marched arm in arm. Open me gently. How proud the new feet as they pound the street, each taking all kinds of selfies. This their first march for human rights. I don't go to marches anymore. My leg hurts and I don't run as fast. All the days I walked these streets, shouting till I had no voice. I must have wept a stream the last 3 weeks. This ache of betrayal. I've been angry for months, I realize. You would think that after all this time, I'd be used to this deception, living on this wicked plot of world. Can you help me, Mother? You who know me well, mail me back to myself. Open me gently. Open me gently. Peel me open one more time, Mother. Return me to that good heart I grew so long ago. I refuse one more day of mourning. Fill my mouth with 1,000 kisses. There is so much left to do. I won't get old feeding on all this loss. Give me some sun yellow tulips and a slow dance for all the loving I have ever had.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was
Welcome.
fantastic, as I knew it would be. And I have another good friend to introduce. I kind of stacked the deck here at the end. So up next is Kenning JP Garcia.
Okay, two things real quick. One, I decided not to go with a long Logic poem, but I do want to say, if you haven't listened to his last album, it's supposed to be his last, listen to it, it's fucking perfect. Also, read this, A Change in the Weather by Jeffrey Jacques. It's about modernist imagination, African-American writing here. And with that, a distillation of Melanstha by Gertrude Stein. Rose Johnson was real black, sullen, stupid, childlike. She was troubled. Rose Johnson was a negress brought up by white folks. Rose was wide, abandoned laughter, Negro sunshine. Rose was earth, born of Negroes, ordinary. Rose Johnson was lazy, but she had been brought up by white folks and decent comfort. Her white training had not the simple, promiscuous unmorality of the black people. Rose Johnson and Melanstha Herbert, curious. Melanstha Herbert was a graceful, pale, yellow, intelligent, attractive negress, not raised by white folks, but had been half made with real white blood, both of the better sort of Negroes. No, I ain't no common nigger. Melanstha is learned so much in school, ain't no common nigger, though she ain't got no husband. I don't see, Melanstha, why you should talk like you would kill yourself. I'd never kill myself. I'd maybe kill somebody else. If I ever killed myself, I'd be awful sorry. And Melanstha was fond of watching men. She learned the common workmen, and they would all laugh, say, you pretty yaller girl. Dr. Jefferson Campbell was good. He liked his own colored people. He always found joyous the abandoned laughter that gives Negro sunshine. Too scared to really feel things. Melanstha, sometimes you one kind of girl, and sometimes you is all different. Two kinds of girl is certainly, very certainly never trusting, and you so hard, and I can't believe you hardly, and certainly, and then certainly sometimes, you certainly is all a different creature, and you is certainly a thing, a real beauty, certainly, got a real sweetness, a pure flower, a way to know everything, and certainly seem to be real for the little while, certainly. And I certainly do get awful afraid, and I certainly never do feel I could be trusting you, certainly. And I certainly don't know which is a real, certainly, honest, really, real, and all honest, certainly. I certainly don't understand, certainly, but certainly do suppose it's just another one of those ways to be repenting of yourself, certainly. Don't say I admire very much the way you, certainly, the way you have been acting, certainly can't stand the way you act when you act, certainly. I can't stand it anymore, certainly can't stand it anymore, the way you're always changing, certainly am afraid. Certainly don't think you all right. Certainly you suffer to keep straight, really, certainly. Too long, do not read. Yours truly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kenning JP Garcia. That was great. Next up is another thing I did this hour was stack it with a bunch of people from my graduate school program. So to fellow Stone Coaster, along with Jessica DeConick, Cheryl, Boyce Taylor, and myself, I now introduce Vanesa Pacheco.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for your poetry and coming today to share or to listen. The first poem is from my first chapbook, Slippery Tongues. And this one is titled, Male Power Remains Confined to the Privy Parts. In women, it falls from the navel. They question the words, the opposite opinion, the very works of devil, of the poets. We learn evil with the daughters of men. We leave evil with big, strong women. The next three poems are from a series I'm working on about cannibalism, anxiety, and self-help. First poem, Lent in the New Decade 2020. Before the pandemic, my cuticles were delectable plump bumpers to immaculate nails I painted weekly. I'd pick the smoothest spot where my skin had filled a previous void with more flesh cells, and bite just above the nerve, and just enough to not bleed, where only my pale skin sat at the tip of my tongue, barred behind teeth on a bed of saliva, and I'd julienned up, and I'd swallow, carelessly content. I'm at ease knowing I only lost my cuticles as if they'd never always been hazardous and basted in germs and bacteria and viruses that have existed for decades. It's in times like this I'm thankful my preferred slice of meat is the cheek. Second, some parts of you are scraps. A nail bed is layers that split and peel like an onion, not sliced and diced into tears you lick off your cheek, but hooked and pulled like an old sticker with its residue left behind. You baste them and paint them and buff them into old quilts on your fingertips, cross-hatched and patched, lifting as you wash your hands again, the separation visible, not like an onion, but your 6 feet distance from you and them, easy to slip in between, splintered and flaked off, not like a nail bed, but summer at midday, no shade. Third one is intermittent fasting. Some days you forget you eat your dead self. Your parasitic tendencies vanished with your panic. You chew your chicle. Is this an average day where your cuticles are smooth, plump, and painless and unappealing? You don't even give in. You walk around admiring your hands like a hand model airbrushed to perfection. Palms steady, fingers graceful, moistured and manicured, your teeth and tongue in a dormant state. This last poem is from a series titled Forgotten Words that focuses on words that I tend to forget in either English or Spanish. And the title of the poem is the word I forgot with the poem My Attempt to Remember. So this one's called Mop. Tell me again y again that stick que lava the floors so we can slide around with ghetto skates is that thing on TV you compare your frazzled hair with. Tell me again that palo that we use an old rag draped at the end of a T to grate the tiles squeaky clean is one and the same, with the twisted ropes soaking up lemon-scented ammonia cada semana, just not as good as a trapo can to clean the floors while Elvis Crespo invites you to kiss him. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. That was fantastic. Our next reader for the hour is Corey Howard.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. I'm really excited about all the food poems I've been hearing. Knives and plates dirty the sink. You wash your hands, but after, not before. Upstairs is a steel toe factory. and it's only 2 in the afternoon. Stomp the alligator before dying by flame. COVID's elusive as I am, pirating albums from Blogspot. My computer hangs itself when it sees me coming. Think about get-togethers 5 years ago, but then again, that poet got robbed on Beacon Hill. My dog is afraid of me, and so am I. Is it time to start drinking, or is it time to hide? Someone said it in a song before I ever wrote it down. Wish I still smoked cigarettes so I could have some fresh air. Even when we're together, the room is quiet and alone. Step 1, self. Step 2, isolation. Step 3, repeat. If you're doing it wrong, you're doing it right. These are the least of my worries because they won't take this seriously. Find me a house out of the city. Work is worse than no work. There is blood jutting down into a pot, pooled as deep fat pools, simmers under direct heat. Not so seriously, it's coming from a kitchen wound, bound by tape, kept above my head. Bastards coming into my home with mud on their soles. I drop garlic and salt onto the spoiled floor. Some in the case of flour, some in the white rice. We will make a braise, so it doesn't matter. Blood replaces the red wine, which congeals the adjusted seasonings. Bastards, get the fuck out of my house. There is no ketchup. That is blood fermenting in the seasoning jar. I will tell you when the meal is ready. Where's a good sous chef when you need it? This is my last poem. It's called Only April. I am nowhere near the ocean, but the air stinks of fish, like I'm back downtown New Bedford, cleaning needles from wet leaves. A cop car passes, looks full of germs, speeding up. People pass on both sides of the street. The construction site is on a halt. The hill is thriving with ants. Blue whales are in Manhattan Sound. Fishermen are in their boats again. Mollusks and shellfish kiss their bottoms. The hull can take it. They won't be bothered this season. Someone please sell me a bike. I am tired of watching y'all ride the crest of my street. It's only April. You wear face masks in your fancy cars, but not on your 10 speeds. What a way to go. Silent like a choke. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Corey. Again, I'm like getting hungry, even though the ketchup and blood thing wasn't really like hunger inducing. I'm still just hungry. Anyway, our last reader of the hour is Ariella Ruth.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bridget, and to all the event organizers. I so appreciate all your hard work. It's great to be a part of this again. Skin a yellow tint in early days. Skin a yellow tint in early days. She is a dollop of honey in midday tea. Sun hits the pillow beside her, sleeping in wide yellow streaks. Citrus cast on the trim of my sundress she'll get when she's older. Now her hand wraps tightly around my finger, warm and clasped sweetly. Her belly rests on pink and blue fabric at my breast. Poet. How do you nourish a body from a body that needs to catch its breath? I forgot to lead with poems. Movements. I read a poem tonight that described mother and baby sharing one body. I marvel your movements. We sing more often than we speak. Garden Street. I am no longer rounded In the same way, when I walk without my baby, it is possible I am not recognized as a mother. I can pass as a person walking down the street with headphones, strolling toward the river. Something special. This is not something special. We are bent behind windows, swollen, softened bellies, static sitting postures, dissolving threads, withheld. Our seamstress has been furloughed, our wires meshed and detached. I know they're in my neighborhood. I don't recognize the woman from my birth class who stops us on the hill near our home. What is it like to be a mother surrounded by other people? We share our babies' names from across the street. Both babies asleep in their carriages, covered, shaded by curved walls. Hatch. Early this morning, I saw you grab the cardboard pages full of colorful lemons, lettuce, leeks. In the afternoon, as the sun went down, you tried to grab streaks of light as they hit the wall in a diagonal through your bedroom blinds. This is the last poem. Strawberry Girl. We feel the remnants of a tropical storm moving north, everything unbalanced, pinkened sky blown in all directions. I briefly remember I have a body. The wind is coarse. You screech so loudly as you play, so happy to experience your own intentional movement. The cat and I go to the balcony to breathe. The sky is misshapen. On nights when you cry so intensely, I feel your suffering in my own body. The tree branch closest to our living room window flails in harmony with the storm. All these years, I didn't know who I was writing to. The night my own body held its wickedest anguish, not my fever nor my water broke. How ready you were. I'm so desperately in love with you. I think it may always be that way. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ariella. Tom, if you could put us back into grid view as we sign off. And I just want to thank all the readers of the hour. So that would be David Miller, Jessica Bozek, Pam Matz, Erica Kaufman, Jessica Konick, Cheryl Boyce Taylor, Konick JP Garcia, Vanesa Pacheco, Corey Howard, and Ariella Ruth. Thank you all to the readers of this past hour. Coming up next, in the next hour, we have Amanda Hope, Josette Akresh Gonzalez, Cynthia Baga, Kite Heller, Kazim Ali, Mark Pavlik, Fred Marchant, Zachary Boss, Alexis Begut, and Mary Byrne. Please stay tuned for the next hour. We'll be streaming that coming up pretty soon, and we can end the live stream now.